Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Today we're talking about ways to get more reinforcement into our dog's days and to help them build skills and confidence, even when we don't have time to set aside just to dedicate to training sessions. There are still ways that we can make our dogs' lives better, their days a little more interesting, as while we build their skills and confidence. So let's jump on in. Confidence and skill building by adding reinforcement throughout the day. Who is this for? This is for probably most of us. This is for you if you'd like your dog to do some things more frequently and other things less frequently, but you have a hard time finding ways to fit training into your day. So the idea is to just notice during the day, opportunistically sort of, when your dog is doing something quote unquote good, something you like, and rewarding it in real life. So this may sound familiar to those of you who have had the SMART 50 assigned to you by a trainer or by a veterinary behaviorist. That's credited to Kathy Sadeo, and I'll try to remember to put a link to her website in the blog when I get to writing the blog. The idea there is to count out 50 treats at the beginning of the day and try to find 50 opportunities to reinforce your dog just during the course of the day. The goal of opportunistically reinforcing stuff during the day that you like is to increase the frequency of behaviors or skills that you want your dog to have or do more frequently. To help generalize those good behaviors to a variety of contexts, wherever you are in the house during the day or out and about, you can reinforce behaviors you like in any location, no matter what you're doing. As you start to increase the frequency of good behaviors, you may well see a decrease in less desirable behaviors because the other stuff is paying so well, right? It's working well to get reinforcement, so not as much need to do these less desirable behaviors. And it's just a nice way to put more good stuff into your dog's day. And if you've got a fearful dog, that's something that they really need. So I have found personally, when trying to do something like SMART 50, that the challenge to actually executing this in real life is partly me noticing my dog actually doing something good. Because let's face it, a quiet dog is easy to ignore or forget about when you're busy doing other stuff. And also, I've often heard from clients who are struggling with some problematic behaviors. They're like, well, if he's quiet, I just want to leave well enough alone. I don't want to, if I throw him a treat, he might then get up and start working me for treats. So that's another issue that I can address in another talk. Although over time, if you are reinforcing the behavior you want, you will see more of it. So one challenge is noticing in the first place that your dog is doing something reinforceable that you would like to reinforce. Another question I often get is, well, he was just doing this. Should I reward that? So I decided it might be useful to go through an example of something like this I'm doing with Pancake right now. I am in the same boat as most of you where I'm busy throughout the day and I frequently fail to notice and reinforce good behaviors when my dogs are doing them because I'm just doing other stuff and they're being quiet, so I don't look at them. What I did was find there's a native sort of alerts function on the Apple Watch, and I set it to make a little noise every 30 minutes throughout the day. I don't have to start or stop it or anything or reset it. It just goes every 30 minutes. I have treats in my pocket. That's another thing you have to make sure you have if you're doing this is readily available treats. So I just keep a few treats in my pocket all the time. And then, starting out, I thought, okay, what should I reinforce? I'd like to reinforce lying on any of his mats, looking at me if we're around things that he might otherwise bark at or be worried about, staying with me on hikes instead of running off on by himself, entertaining himself with food toys or other toys around the house. Or resting or playing in another room from me. Since he has a bit of separation anxiety, I like it when he is comfortable sort of going elsewhere. and hanging out not in the same room as I am in. So what I did was take pictures every time I had my little alarm go off on my phone for a day, and I'm not going to show all of them because it would be a lot. It's every 30 minutes. But just to show you examples of what was Pancake doing when my alarm went off, and did I reinforce it? Did I reward it? I don't know if I reinforced it unless I see an increase or at least maintenance of the behavior in the future. But did I give him a treat for this? So for example, here, my little alarm went off at 7 a.m. I looked over. Oh, he's just lying there quietly. What is his back leg doing? I don't know. But yes, I did toss him a treat because I liked that he was just resting quietly on his bed while I was working at my computer. Here's one at 8 a.m. I was in the kitchen getting the dog's breakfast ready. I look over. Oh, Pancake has gone to one of his mats. That's nice. Toss a treat over there. Here's my 9 a.m. alert. I looked over and Pancake had kind of run ahead and was scanning the trail for, I don't know, anything interesting. I didn't toss him a treat for this. He wasn't paying attention to me. He was out in front of me. I didn't feel the need to reinforce this one. At 9:30, though, when the alarm went off, I looked down and he was right next to me looking up at me. He had caught up with me and was doing a little check-in. I liked that. So great. I gave him a treat. And again, at 10:30, he wasn't looking at me, but he was staying close to me, walking alongside me, which I liked. So the 10:30 alarm, he also got a treat. At 11:30, I was sitting out on our back porch working at my computer, and I looked over and he was settled on this mat. That was great. Gave him a treat again. At about noon, I was still out there working, looked over when the alarm went off and he was asleep. I did not throw a treat to him when he was asleep. I didn't want to wake him up, and sleeping probably reinforces itself, I would imagine. At 12:30, he is up. I look over when my alarm goes off and he is barking at the neighbor dog, who is barking right back at him. So that did not earn a treat, as you might imagine. Later on, running errands, got into the car, and he laid down in his booster seat, which I like because he's less likely to fall over and get scared. So he got a treat for this one at the 2 p.m. alert. 3 p.m. I was on the spin bike, and he was settled on his mat on the sofa. I like that. So again, that one got a treat. Here's another one, 4 p.m. again, resting quietly while I was on a consult. So I tossed a treat over my shoulder. Later in the evening, he was resting on another of his mats while my husband was moving around a bit, and that's really good. So I made sure to give him some treats for that one. My alarm went off at 8, and I looked at him, and he was working on a food toy I just filled for him in his little pen in the living room. I didn't toss him extra food for this because he was getting a lot of treats out of this toy already. So in theory, likely the behavior of playing with this food toy was getting reinforced without me throwing extra food into the equation. However, later in the evening, after he'd finished his dinner, instead of, say, barking at my husband or otherwise making mischief, he went around and played with some other toys on their own, even though they were empty or mostly empty. And I liked that. I liked him entertaining himself and not sort of pestering my husband. So, and he wasn't getting much, or if any, food out of this toy he was working on, so I made sure to toss him an extra treat for that. So, I hope those examples kind of give you a feel for what a day might look like, and you can make these intervals whatever you want. You can make them really short, 10 or 15 minutes. You can make them every hour on the hour. Any of those, could be helpful. It's going to be probably more than you're doing currently, so you'll be hopefully seeing an increase in behaviors you like when you start to notice and reinforce them more frequently. So if you're going to give it a try, set a repeating phone or watch alert that you don't have to turn off or reset. If it's something that you have to turn off and then hit reset again, you'll forget and you won't end up using it. If you have an iPhone, just a heads up, there does not seem to be a native function that allows you to set something like this unless you set a whole bunch of alarms under the clock features. So you will need to download an app or something. But there are a number of apps, many of which are free, that will do this for you. So have your alarm set, put treats in your pocket, and then when the alarm goes off, look at your dog and toss them a treat if you wouldn't mind seeing more of what they're doing right then. All right, everybody, I hope this was helpful. If you would like to get more confidence building tips, get alerted to our weekly free content like this video, or about new classes or special discounts, go ahead to this link at the bottom of the slide, dogkindtraining.com/newsletter, and you'll be put on our email list so you stay in the loop about everything that's going on. All right, everyone, have a great week, and I will see you next week.